Mad Marvin looking for his first big-time poker tournament title. He could do it if he can win this heads-up battle. But the lone amateur who came into the final table in 6th chip position with a great shot to take the title as well.
All right, to the play we go. Philippe, he's got king, queen. He's raised to 300,000. And Marvin has called. Here's the flop.
Yeah, Jack 8-3 all clubs. As you can see, Mad Marvin has a flush draw and a good shot straight draw.
They both check. And then the 10 on the turn hits Mad Marvin. Pair of 10s.
His opponent now has an open-ended straight draw, as you can see.
And Philippe has checked. Marvin gonna bet with the 10s. 275.
Now remember, Philippe raised before the flop. He checked on the flop and the turn, and now he's gonna raise it here, Vince.
Very sneaky. Makes it 775.
Well, when a guy checks a couple times and then raises you just think he's got a monster hand, but Marvin has made the call because he has a flush draw and a straight draw and a pair of 10s.
River card is the 5 of spades, no flush. Philippe has nothing but king high. Does he have the heart to bet this?
The continued bluff goes on here by the Frenchman.
Weaker players would check on the river. They wouldn't continue the larceny, but the Frenchman's doing it with a bet of 875. Can he push Madman out?
That's Mad Marvin's girlfriend over there. I wonder if she'll scream out, "Call him, call him."
This would be the call of the night.
One of the calls of the year, I can tell you. It's just not something you would expect out of an amateur player in the first hand of the heads-up battle here.
Mad Marvin saying, does this guy have the gall to bet without a hand? And he's going out. Look at this. Philippe is going to show it.
The Frenchman showed him the bluff.
He's put the salt in the water, stirring it up, throwing it into that deep wound of Mad Marvin. And that's going to sting. There you see Joe Sirach. He's the WPT Player of the Year, Season 10 at the Royal Flush Girls Social Bar. And there's also Faraz Jaka.
Here comes that flop.
Yeah, Jack, Jack, deuce, Mike.
Check.
Buffalo Bailey checks, and they both check.
Now 5 comes off.
Check.
Again, Mark checks. Anthony has to think the 2 6s are good now. And he is going to bet 325,000.
Raise it to $1 million.
What?
Look at this, Vince. He is doing it again.
Wow.
$1 million bet. And let's see if Anthony can figure this one out. He got the last one wrong.
Oh, no, he's on to it.
All right, so far he's got this one right.
He is making his call to the complete displeasure of Mark Bailey. Going to the river.
Over 2.6 million in the pot right now. 9 comes off.
Doesn't change a thing. Let's see what Bailey does.
Come all in.
He's going to go all in. Can't believe this. What guts.
And if Anthony Zeno makes this call, he'll be our champion.
He makes his call. It's the call of the year on the World Poker Tour to put this so-called recreational player on a bluff and to make this call be extraordinary.
You have to be fearful that your opponent's got a minimum 3 jacks here, the way this hand was played. You're just not going to expect him to bluff in this spot for his tournament life.
The Ant's going to lay it down.
So on back-to-back pots, Mark Bailey has earned the pots.
The blind's 100 and 200,000. Action going to the Brazilian. He has a 7-4 this time, and he calls it.
Well, he limps in on the button, and Faraz with a 4-3. Happy to see a flop here. Here comes that flop. The flop comes ace. 10-5.
Inside straight draw, and he's checked it. And Alex, with absolutely zip and pip, is going to bet 200,000.
Well, he does have zip and pip.
Faraz calling quickly. Here comes the turn card. Well, it's a king of diamonds. Faraz has got a little flush draw there. And they both check. River card coming up.
Well, Queen of clubs comes off, so possible flush out there. 4 cards straight out there. And look at this. Faraz leads out and bets 300,000 on the river. No, Vince, can you believe this? The guy raising on the river yet again with an absolute Garfunkel. Incredible. And again, Faraz goes out. Just unbelievable the plays this Brazilian is making.
Two guys from Ohio, two young superstar poker players going at it. And right now, action on Byron. He's going to raise with a Jack-8. Kevin, the chip leader, with 12 million.
Call.
Well, quickly calls with the 10-8.
Flop.
Queen 9-7. Kevin with the open-end straight draw. He is going to lead out and bet 525,000. Byron with the gut shot straight draw, trying to figure out what to do.
Byron taking his time here. Big decision for him.
Well, he's a methodical player, meaning he takes his time. Remember, he's on the short stack here, and yet here he is, raising to 1.15 million with just a gut shot straight draw. You just wonder if he'd just ship it here to try to bust the guy if he could make this straight, but no, just makes the call.
Going to the turn. Who will get lucky? It's an ace of hearts.
Well, this gives both players a flush draw to go along with their straight draw, and Byron with the bigger flush draw.
All in.
He's going to put him to the test, putting them all in.
Wow.
Jesus.
And what a quagmire Byron is in right now.
I don't see how you can play this hand if you're Byron. It's for all your money. Now, we can see he's got the best hand with Jack high and the best flush draw, but if you're sitting in this seat, there's no way you can really believe this is the best hand.
This is one messed up hand. Whether I call it off and look a complete idiot or pretty smart. I was gonna bluff that card.
He's a zombie.
$8-10 with the heart. That makes sense.
Mike, he just muttered 8-10. He put him on the hand.
Unbelievable. Well, can he put all his chips in the pot? That's the question.
Can you follow through? Byron, Coverman with the instincts, but no!
Oh, boy, if he'd have made that call, Vince, after calling the 10-8 with a heart,
Can't do it.
it would have been incredible.
The family of Kevin rejoicing.
Byron.
Find it, please.
Yeah, find it. Find it. Find it.
And we are going to take a look.
It looks like a king,
Was it the 10 of hearts?
meaning that Jack High would have won that pot.
So you had it? Is that what you're saying?
I had two cards. Two kids.
We're giving away $50 to the first 100 people that use bonus code YT76. Go to WPTglobal.com and use bonus code YT76.
Elected not to. I think part of the reason, as we see there, is Philip a little bit more likely than some other players to check very strong hands on the river.
9-5 suited on the button for Mike, and he just lays it down. You think he's getting a little sheepish, a little punch drunk?
That's possible. After losing a few pots, you might want to kind of take a breather. 9-5 suited, though, at the same time, not an extremely strong hand, so even from the button, it is a reasonable fold.
Tom MacDonald, meanwhile, with pocket nines in the small blind, raising to 55,000.
A little bit of a different situation than the last time that these two encountered in a blind versus blind hand. Last time, Tom had king-8 offsuit, so though it was a better than average hand, not nearly as strong as 2 9s. Tom hoping that Phil took the same line and 3-bet here. Obviously, Phil just elected to call.
Here comes the flop, and oh boy, 10 high. Grissom has outflopped Tom MacDonald's pocket nines.
Tom should feel relatively comfortable on this flop. Can't really expect Philip to have a 10 all that often.
He bet 60,000 though, about half the pot, and I know you've mentioned Tom has a tendency to bet more than he should in these spots.
Well, I wouldn't say more than he should, but definitely more than some of the other players have been betting.
Now the turn is a deuce, and Tom checks it.
One of the reasons I think Tom has to be a little bit weary is that he has 2 9s in his hand, and so a number of the draws that Philip has, the likely ones, contain a 9.
Philip has bet 125,000. What's the likelihood that he was simply floating in position on this flop?
So I think most of Philip's floating hands are some sort of draws, and since Tom has 2 9s in his hand, a lot of those draws are less likely to be in Philip's hand. The real question here is, what is Tom going to do, assuming Philip is willing to value bet his 10 for a third time?
Yeah, the river paired the board with a deuce, a very innocent-looking card. Tom has checked to Philip. Philip is measuring out a healthy bet here, 225,000.
Both players like that river deuce. Philip confident enough that his 10 with not a strong kicker, really playing the 8 on the board as his kicker, still confident that it's good. Now Tom, after calling on the turn, has clearly indicated that he has a hand that has some sort of value. And so I think a really, really good and disciplined fold there by Tom to let go of his pair of 9s.
Well, Tom MacDonald may be young, but he is by no means inexperienced. Under the gun and first to act is Scott Sever. The American professional has just under $8 million in live tournament earnings, and I'm sure pocket aces will help add to that figure, which is what he has right now. Min raising to 10,000.
Since they're 9-handed, Scott's under the gun raise is definitely going to get some respect here.
What if I qualify on the button? No. Talked him out of it. He wasn't sure if he was qualified or not.
Hold it around to Tony.
You make sure people qualify. The qualifying police.
The qualifying. So let's have a look.
Feels like his ace-9 offsuit qualifies, and he is in horrible shape heading to the flop. And that flop is 4-9 Jack Rainbow. Tony with a pair of 9s. This could be trouble.
Scott, a very deliberate player, always takes his time, thinks through each and every decision.
Tony has flopped middle pair here and checked it over to Scott. Scott, of course, firing 15,000. And Tony making the call. Turn card is a 4, pairing the board.
Great card for Scott.
Insofar as it allows Tony to feel even more comfortable with his ace-9.
Yeah, and just makes it very unlikely that Tony can make a better hand than Scott.
And Seiver is betting 30,000. And unbelievably, Tony just gets away from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty reasonable fold. He just has second pair, and Scott has shown a lot of aggression. Scott did raise an early position and fired twice on that board.
You sure it wasn't the other one? No?
What do you have? Action on Mike.
No, yeah, give my card to Brent. There you go. Enjoy it, Brent.
Folds a junk hand, and now Brent Roberts with ace-4 just calling.
Yeah, Aaron also calling with the 9-3 of clubs. And
no.
Freddie looks down at
a miserable-looking 10-6.
Can't find anything.
He's already in, so we're going to see a flop, 3-handed action.
Well, a nice flop for Freddie as he's flopped top pair here. So it comes 6-4 deuce. And Freddie is going to bet after Aaron checks. And I don't see Brent going anywhere with second pair and top kicker. He's going to make the call. 300,000. And Aaron calling too to try to hit the 5 to make the gut shot straight.
We all hit the flop, huh?
At the backdoor flush draw as well.
Another 4, giving 3 of a kind to Brent.
Now Aaron is going to check, and he's going to be a little fearful that somebody might have made 3 4s, but he wants to test the water here. Doesn't want to check and call and be guessing. If he bets and gets called, it'll give him a pretty good clue. Of course, he might get raised right here. No, Brent just calls with the 3 4s, and that's going to do it for Aaron. That call will turn the caution lights on for Freddie, I can assure you.
River card, Jack of spades.
Check.
Yeah, Freddie's going to check his 2 pair.
And Brent Roberts, who hit gold on the turn, will put in the value bet. It looks like 850. And he's got to be hoping against hope that Freddie pays him off. But Freddie too sharp, makes the fold.
Yep, good lay down by Freddie, no doubt. Alex out as well, so it's the battle of the blinds here.
Around the horn to Justin Smith.
It's a 21-year-old poker phenom, folks. I can tell you that right now. He plays in the highest stakes cash games in the world right here at Bellagio. Not only a great no-limit hold'em player, a tremendous mixed game player.
Well, he's a former grocery bagger at the supermarket and now a poker pro, very tough, and he is raised with King 10. Making it 210,000 to go. But behind him, Alec Torelli from Orange County, California, is going to call. He's got queen, jack of spades.
I have one, two, a little less now. 2.1 behind.
Well, flop comes Jack 10-3. Great flop for Alec. He has top pair. Justin, who raised pre-flop, has second pair.
And he's going to check it. Torelli hitting top pair. Said he learned how to play poker in high school. Great place to learn.
Well, they'd be wondering why the aggressive Justin didn't make a continuation bet here, but he's going to bet himself $275,000. Now he looks over at Justin. Tough to get away from second pair, playing heads up against the blind. Justin's going to make the call here. The ace of spade comes off. Now that's a card that neither player is going to like to see, because neither one of them have an ace.
Yeah, Justin checking again. Scary card for both players.
Well, this card gives Alec a flush draw and a straight draw. I would say a royal flush draw, but we can see that Justin has the king of spade. Alec contemplating what to do right now.
Check.
He's fearful that Justin had an ace, so he checks it. So here comes the river card. Well, king of diamonds comes off. This gives Alec Torelli the nuts, as we say, the best hand possible right now.
Yeah, Justin quickly checking.
Well, Justin has made two pair with this last card. Alec has bet $560,000. And Justin faced with a tough decision as to what to do.
Well, I think this is a little bit too big of a bet if you want to get your man. You got the nuts. Come in a little smaller, 350, 375. Make him think about it. I don't think with this board he could possibly call.
Well, he does have two pair. The guy did check on the turn when the ace came off.
You need like another minute and a half, guys.
The former grocery bagger says, I need time.
Well, he's an amazing young guy, this Justin Smith. I can tell you that. Anybody that's 21 and plays in the biggest games in the world, he's made that kind of money at this young age. That's phenomenal.
There's Alec Torelli's mom, Valerie, rooting her son on. And a nice lay down right there for Justin Smith.
Well, really is. Laying two pair down there in a heads-up situation. But Alec Torelli happy to pick up that pot.
We're giving away $50 to the first 100 people that use bonus code YT76. Go to WPTglobal.com and use bonus code YT76.
And some of the finer details that separate the top pros from just the average pros. Your ability to not only get the good hands, but make the most out of them. Millions still at stake here in Vegas. Welcome back to World Poker Tour Alpha 8 at Bellagio. Olivier, the final table is heating up. The real story, Andrew Lucky Chewy Lichtenberger with over 6 million in chips, really dominating the opposition.
Yeah, Chewy running well and playing even better. It seems almost impossible for another player at the table to even win a hand.
Should we just stick his name at first place right there for 2.1 million?
Well, as we know, in poker tournaments, things can change very quickly, and as the blinds go up, you got to continue to get lucky to end up on top.
The four players on the relatively short stacks right now, Noah Schwartz, Bryn Kenny, Brandon Stephen, and Phil Locke, all really looking to hit a hot streak at this point and get some breathing room as the blinds escalate. Those blinds at 15 and 30,000 right now with an ante of 5K. Every orbit is going to cost them 40,000 in antes and 45,000 in blinds. That's not cheap poker.
And the thing that's really tough about having four relatively short stacks is that two of them can feel comfortable that they'll make the money as long as the other two bust. So it incentivizes all of them to basically play very tight.
King Jack suited for Andrew Lichtenberger, made it 75,000 to go, and now to Brandon Stephen, who has King Queen offsuit in the small blind. Stephen really sweating this decision.
Yeah, it's not an easy decision with King Queen off. The last thing you want to do is go all in, get snap called, be way behind, and end up bubbling.
Yeah, he's got just over 20 big blinds and decides to take a pass, and a good thing he did because Jason Less has pocket queens in the big blind.
I think Jason has two legit options. I mean, I might just consider calling here from the big blind and playing a small pot out of position against
Not Jason, though. He's made it 280,000, Olivier.
Yeah, perfectly legitimate 3-bet. Obviously, his hand is very strong. And Chewy looks like he wants to keep playing. I mean, Chewy must be really feeling it here because I don't think Jason is ever out of line at this stage in the tournament from this position.
Yeah, a big call. But Andrew likes playing in position.
I mean, Chewy's hand is pretty good, don't get me wrong, but I just think Jason's range here is very, very narrow, very strong.
Well, here comes the flop, 9-7-4 with a couple of hearts. And Jason is taking his foot off the gas right away. But that check allows Chewy to check behind and hit the best hand with the king of hearts. Jason checks again.
More passive play from both players. This pot could be much bigger than it is.
Yeah, Chewy checked behind and now hits 2 pair on the river, but a 4th heart on the board. Could Jason bluff?
Well, I don't think Jason feels the need to bluff. I mean, there's no reason for him to think his 2 queens aren't good if Chewy doesn't have a heart. There's no way for him to know that Chewy does have a king, much less 2 pair here.
And Les has checked it over to Chewy.
And yeah, Chewy decides his hand is not good enough to try to bet for value and hoping he just wins, which he will.
And now
Todd with a quick fold, and now Pesh with Jack 10. He'll make it 2:05 to go, and Pat Lyons with an attractive Queen 10 of spades.
And he's going to make the call. See if Benjamin can join the party. Nope. So the 2 chip leaders going at it again.
That's right, Pesh with the button, so he has position over Pat Lyons with Queen 10 of spades, and the flop is a King 9-5.
Both players with a gut shot straight draw. And both players with a backdoor flush draw.
Pat Lyons has checked. Well, Pesh is going to bet 185.
Now Pat's going to look him up here.
And the ace of spades helps Pat a bit with a 4 flush as well.
He is leading right out into the pre-flop raiser, and the flop better bets 400,000 into a 920,000 pot. Now, this sends a message to Pesh that he's got something. So I don't know how you continue with just a gut shot straight draw here. And he doesn't. He gives it up.
Yep. So the very popular Pat Lyons taking down that pot.
I'm doing better than Twitter. I'm getting followers in the room.
Will not gamble with this one. Goes out. Todd Peterson now with King 7. And he has just called. Pesh now looks down at a Queen 9.
And I'm certain Todd just called in the small blind here with this hand because he's been pummeled by this guy.
It's
Every
right.
time he raises it, he gets re-raised. Here he was going to call the raise, but he just didn't want to go for 3 bets, so he limped in.
And the flop is a Jack-Jack 10.
Yeah, with 2 hearts.
Pesh with an open-ended straight draw. Todd just slowing down, not giving any action, checks it.
Pesh is going to bet the draw. Bets 100,000. And Todd going to make this call. A little surprised by this.
Just wants a little revenge against Pesh, hoping to get lucky. It's a king. He gets lucky, but not really because Pesh hits the straight.
It's a nightmare card for him, Ben.
It certainly is. Todd checks it.
It's the best card Todd could catch, the best card Pesh could catch, and that's bad news for Todd.
Coolly going to bet 335. Todd with the insta call, thinking he's in front. Little does he know.
That's when you call a bet on the flop and hit a king, you're not going out here.
Nope, river card. Todd could fill up though. Nope, 5 of clubs.
Well, Todd checks again. About 1.1 million in the pot. Pesh getting out nearly a pot-sized bet.
Yeah, he's going for the juggler.
Just about $1 million.
No, insta call by Todd.
Well, he is not going to like it when he sees Pesh's hand here, but yeah, that's what happens.
Well, that is a devastating blow there for Todd Peterson. Pesh just taking advantage. The crowd loving it. Pesh's fiance.
So Tom in the big blind is getting a good price. I think Tom could reasonably call or try to put pressure on Bryn. I probably would just go all in here and force Bryn to have a real hand, but Tom electing to just call and see a flop.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to play out of position here. And the flop. King 10 deuce. A pair of 10s for Bryn Kenny, the best hand right now.
How much in blues does that choose? Like 10?
Exactly 10.
So Bryn with middle pair here and no heart decides to check back. I don't mind this play. I think it's fine.
And the turn card, a 7 of spades. More than fine if you're Tom Marchese.
Yeah, very unlucky for Bryn for Tom to just turn a set here. And after checking the flop, I don't think it's reasonable for Bryn to just let go after 1 bet.
150,000 is the size of that bet from Tom.
Fortunately for Bryn, he is, of course, drawing dead with just one pair and no heart.
He's made the call. He can always try to bluff his way into this pot. The river, the queen of hearts, 4 hearts out there.
This should be a card that will just kill the action. Tom's 7 of hearts is not really strong enough to bet for value, and Bryn will think with his 2 pair he's got a good enough chance to just check and win.
7 of hearts.
Kenny hoping, obviously, that 2 pair were good there. Marchese takes that pot down and puts Bryn Kenny in an even worse spot than he was.
Bet 9 chips.
He's going to make it 575. Matas with a pretty solid ace-10.
575?
Matas here really does not want to play a big pot with David right now while Darren is so short and likely to be eliminated in the near future. So you see him taking a passive route here, just calling pre-flop with his ace-10 blind versus blind, checking back on this flop with a gut shot and 2 overcards. Turns a 10, so Matas with top pair now, but still such a connected board. I think he will try and keep this pot small.
Doesn't have a spade in his hand. There's 3 of them out there, too.
Check.
He says check. And a deuce of spades on the river will lock this pot up for David Baker. He makes a flush.
And now he's going to put in a bet of 600.
But that should save Matas some money here. I think if that deuce is offsuit, he'd likely call that bet. Now with 4 to a flush and straight, we'll see if he gets away.
And he does lay that down. David Baker extends the chip lead.
Hope you had